Hi guys, today we're going to talk a little bit about your World History Review project, the final project that we're going to do for Classical Connections. And so I'm going to kind of walk us through the directions here. So you should have gotten a sheet that looks a little something like this, and it is the final project description. So this particular document is something called a hyperdoc, which means that it will go through all of what is necessary for this project, and it has lots of links that will take you to other documentation that's required. So this is the main doc that you'll want to make sure that you are working off of for this project. So in general, this project really looks at your ability that you've developed over the last year for history. It looks at how you've kind of developed those skills, and it allows you to show and demonstrate your learning of world history from this time period by using a topic of your choice to kind of demonstrate that. So this particular project allows you to choose a topic of your choice. You'll create your own driving question and then create a product that demonstrates your understanding to that driving question and answers that driving question. So the rubric here kind of goes through all the things that we're going to be looking for. The very first thing is the planning document. So we'll get into this. This is step 2. Really, I'm looking for how you have planned your time out during this project. Have you been effective in using your time wisely, or did you wait until the very end? Your research, which is one of the more important pieces of the project because it is what you're getting the evidence from and whatnot. You must have 3 sources in MLA format. You also have to make sure that you include the connection to your historical question, and we'll get to that a little bit later. The next thing is, did you answer your question? Okay, so again, here you want to make sure that you're in this final column here, that you've answered the question correctly, that you show a deep understanding, and your argument is convincing. Okay. Next thing is that historical background. So have you included enough background information to kind of give the reader an understanding of the overall topic as well as its connections to its time period? Did you use enough evidence? So did you use evidence that really goes above and beyond to answer the basic historical question? Is your product even accurate? So is it an accurate portrayal of whatever the topic was that you wanted to research? And then your works cited. So did you have a works cited page? Did you use MLA format? This project is for a total of 28 points, and you must receive a 14 or higher to receive a passing score. So again, I said this is a hyperdoc, which means that all of these links go to something that's helpful. So this is your project checklist. You should start at step 1 and then move to step 5. So if you were to click on this, it would take you to the bookmark of step 1, which is here. Okay, so the very first step is to choose your topic and start to formulate a question. You can choose any topic in between prehistory, which is like the Paleolithic era, and the Renaissance. These are the different units that we studied throughout the course, and so you can really look at these and kind of help you to narrow down your topic. You also could look at one particular topic like technology or religion over the course of all of these topics, ending in the Renaissance. Okay. You also want to create a historical question off of this. This is your driving question. So your basic question would be something along the line of, who are the Mayans, right? We kind of already know who the Mayans are. You can answer that question very, very easily. So it's not a good question. A good question is going to be a lot deeper. It's going to go beyond. It's going to ask more why. It's going to ask how. So a good question would be, why did the Mayan civilization collapse? How did the Roman Empire influence American democracy? Things that require more of an answer. Okay? It should be open-ended. It should address cause and effects. It should be argumentative, and it should be specific. So it should be specific enough to answer it in a lot more evidence. Okay, remember the question that you're answering here should be backed up by evidence and should be able to be answered. So I gave you a couple examples of open-ended questions. How did the wheel influence the agricultural revolution? Why did kingdoms use the feudal system? What was the impact of Muslims on the age of exploration? The opportunities for this are endless. So you could have any number of questions. If you're interested in music, you might be asked questions about how music influenced African tribes. You could choose anything. Okay, I really want it to be tiered to your interest. So for each step, it's going to say, to complete this step, complete this document or complete this form. So after you have opened that up, you're going to click on that particular form. I'm going to click on it on my side so I can show you both the sections. So for section one is really brainstorming a topic, brainstorming a question, and kind of deciding what this project might be about. Okay, so I want you to make sure that you use your Henry County email address in order to respond to this form. You should include your first and your last name, your class period, and then we're going to start the brainstorm process. So you're going to pick about 3 topics that we have studied that you might be interested in learning about. So these are, again, not required that you choose these, but we just want you to kind of start thinking about what you might want to learn about. Okay. Then you're going to start thinking about places: Africa, Asia, Europe, Middle East, South America. There's all these places that we've learned about, and I want you to kind of brainstorm what you might be interested in. Who is one person you might be interested in learning more about? So this could be like Cleopatra, Mark Antony, Julius Caesar, Shi Huangdi. You can do also a little bit of research going into this to see if there are some people from a particular region that you may be interested in learning more about, like specifically to their contributions or whatnot. Okay? And then I kind of want you to narrow down, what are some topics that you might be interested in? What are things that you do outside of school that would help influence your interest? Music, makeup, soccer, sports, things of that nature. What kind of things are you going to research? Okay. Then I want you to take a stab at a driving question. Okay. So what question would you want to answer? What would get at what you want to know? So another example of a driving question would be, how did the Roman Republic influence American democracy? Okay. Remember, you're focusing on those how, why type of questions. Then you're going to kind of brainstorm some products. Notice here that I say you can include multiple options. So I want you just to kind of think about what you might want to create and what might be the best way to show your learning. Okay, there is a list of product ideas under step 4. So if you scroll all the way down to step 4, okay, here are some possible products. You could be an essay, a map, song, journal, comic book, drawing, podcast, website. There's so many different options. You could think about some of the things that we did this school year. What did you enjoy doing? What are your skills? Okay. Your product can be anything. Then I want you to brainstorm what you already know, because this is part of that historical background piece of the rubric. Okay? You should be including key vocabulary here. You can use Quizlet to help you answer that vocabulary. You can use quizzes. You can use your notes, things that are going to help you understand. Okay? Then I want you to start thinking about what other top questions might help me answer my larger question. So for example, if we're asking questions about how did man's thinking change during the Renaissance, you might need to ask, what characteristics of the Renaissance? How did art show man's thinking? What is humanism? So you should be asking these smaller questions here. You should have no fewer than like 3 or 4. Okay? Then I want you to also include what resources you might need. Okay, so think about how I can help you as the teacher in this project. On the last section here, I kind of want you to finalize your topic. Okay, you can change your topic, you can change your question, you can change your product, but this is kind of what we're starting off with. This is what our research is going to be on at first. Okay, so my project topic is blank. My driving question is blank. I will create a blank to demonstrate my learning of my topic. And then what other questions do you have for me? How can I help you? What do you need moving forward? Okay, so that will take us through step 1. After you finish step 1, I want you to stop before you move to step 2, because I want you to make sure that during step 1, you'll get your topic approved, you get your question approved by me before you move on to step 2. Okay? So do not start step 2 until after you've gotten your project approved. Okay? So in step 2, you're going to be working on planning your time. So you're going to make a copy of that document. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to change the your name section. So if this was mine, I was going to change it to Mrs. Adkins. Okay? And then I'm going to share it with myself. So by hitting share and complete. After that, I can start filling this in. So I want you to plan your time ahead of time. So for example, I'm going to decide I'm going to work on this project every other day for about an hour. So I'm going to work on it on 4/27. I'm going to work on it on 4/29. I'm going to work on it on 5/1, so on and so forth. Okay, and after I've done that, I'm going to then say, what am I going to do in each step? So step 1, I'm going to work on step 1 and step 2. On Wednesday, I'm going to work on step 3. I'm going to be on step 3 for a couple of days. This might be source 1, this might be source 2. Okay. After I finished working for that day, I'm going to fill in the outcome column. So I'm going to say what I did today. I decided upon a topic and a driving question. I completed the planning document. Okay, that's what I did that day. I'm just going to kind of put in a couple of sentences here to kind of say what I did that day. After I finished my work on Wednesday on the 429, I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to put what I did. So this day I might say I researched Athens and how they use technology in their society. Right? And then I might say something along the lines of, I need to do more research on the Colosseum. Okay? So I'm going to put in there what I need to do next, what did I learn that day, things of that nature. Okay? After you've done that, you've completed step 2 and you're ready to move on to step 3. Step 3 is where you should be spending your most amount of time because it is where you're doing your research. Keep in mind, you need to have at least 3 sources. Okay? The same thing, you'll do the same thing for step 3 that you did for step 2 by creating a copy of the document and then changing your name to what your actual name is. So I'm going to change this to Mrs. Adkins. After I have changed my name, I'm going to share it with Mrs. Adkins as well. Okay? The directions are at the top. You want to make sure that you're using some of the resources that are given here. However, if you stray outside of those resources, that's completely fine. You should just make sure that you are citing your sources. Okay? So you need to go down here to source number 1. Every time that I use a source, I'm going to go to EasyBib to cite my source. So for example, if I was to use Ancient History Encyclopedia, I would open this up. I would search my topic, say I am doing Athens. I'm going to search for Athens, and it's going to give me lots of resources here. Okay? Say I'm really interested in the Peloponnesian War. I would then be able to use this page to help me to understand the Peloponnesian War. Okay? I can then, I'm going to make a copy of the link, go over to EasyBib, choose my source, which is the website. I'm going to paste my source here, and then click search. It's going to have 4 different steps, so make sure you're paying attention. You want to hit Cite, Continue, and then it'll already go ahead and pull that information for you. And then you want to hit Complete your citation. Okay? You may have to watch a sponsored message every 48 hours in order to keep it free, but that's totally fine. After I have created my citation, I'm going to paste that here. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to put my notes. So for example, I might write the Peloponnesian War was a war between Athens and Sparta. Okay, so I'm taking notes on things that I might need. Now, the most important part is looking at how this source and what the evidence that you gathered answers your driving question. This is the analysis piece, this is the explanation, and you should spend some time here really reflecting on how this source helps you. Then I want you to kind of consider your next steps. What are key words that you now need to research after this? What other questions does this source, do you have? This is really where you're kind of using this source to help you to do your next step. Okay. After you've done that, you're moving on to step 4, which is creating your product and your works cited page. Okay, so you've finished your research, and now you're ready to make something that shows that. Okay, keep in mind, if you are doing something like a map or a song, you may include a written portion that includes that historical background that may not be seen in your product. Okay. To complete your works cited page, you'll then do the same thing that you did in step 3, which is clicking on that link, making a copy, changing your name, and then pasting in your works cited. keep in mind, you have already done these in MLA format, so all you have to do is go back to your research page and paste these in here. You also should include a link to whatever your product is, whether that's a YouTube video, an essay, or anything like that. Include that link there